My girlfriend basically told me last night that if she didn't receive a ring by the end of the year, she would break up with me. The problem is that I already have a ring and was planning on proposing to her on her birthday this weekend. I met my girlfriend in college, and we've been together for almost 3 years. This girl is my best friend, and I don't really imagine my life without her. I've never felt this way about anyone before. We've talked about getting married and starting a family before. The thing is that I've been working on my business and trying to become financially stable to support our future family. My girlfriend knows all of this, which is the crazy part. My girlfriend doesn't have a job currently, and I've been supporting both of us. This isn't a big deal for me since I'm in a position where we can afford to live like this. These past quarters, I've finally started seeing the returns coming from my business. All that hard work I've put in for the past 4 years is starting to pay off. We're on track to have a massive year. My girlfriend has been looking for houses in the past few months, not to buy, but just to see what's out there when we are ready. Everything was set into play. My girlfriend's birthday is this Sunday, and we're having the party at our place as far as she knows. I had the entire proposal planned out with her best friend. Her best friend was going to bring her to the aquarium where we had our first date. I already talked with the aquarium staff about doing the proposal. They were going to play our song on the speakers, and I was going to do it in front of the penguin exhibit, her favorite animal. I had a professional photographer hired and everything. I've also already asked her parents for permission to propose. I'm in a bad spot right now. I feel like I lose either way. Last night, my girlfriend, during dinner, out of nowhere, just broke down and started crying. I've never seen her like that. Then she proceeded to tell me that she doesn't understand why I won't marry her. She tells me that she's been there from day one for me. Then she tells me if I don't plan on proposing to her by the end of the year, she would leave. At first, I thought maybe she had found out and was messing with me, but I know her real well. Her tears and emotion were genuine. I know her friends are getting engaged and married, and maybe she feels left out or jealous, but I don't want to propose due to an ultimatum. Now, I'm not even sure if I want to go through with the proposal on Sunday. All my friends are saying you can't reward this type of behavior, but I'm not sure. I don't know if she just had a breakdown or what. This is the first time I've seen her get this upset. Now for an update. I want to thank everyone for their responses and advice. One of the questions I'm getting is why my girlfriend doesn't work. She just graduated last year with a degree in biology. Unfortunately, she's been having a difficult time finding a job because we live in a rural area of the country. She's always there for me when I need her help in my business. Honestly, I've already told her that she doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to. I had a conversation with her best friend last night, and she informed me that she might have said some things to throw my girlfriend off track. I didn't tell her best friend about my girlfriend's breakdown. My girlfriend has been a bit distant and has been giving me the silent treatment since the whole thing happened. As of right now, I'm 80% leaning towards going through with the original plan. I still want to marry her, but the ultimatum part is bothering me. Like, how could she say she would leave after everything we've been through together? Her best friend and little sister are flying in tonight for her birthday/proposal on Sunday. 2 of my closest friends, who are basically my brothers, are coming also, the ones you all are referring to as idiots, and yes, they are single. Other questions about why on her birthday. It's because when her older sister got engaged on her birthday, she told me that's what she wanted. As for the ring, I've had it for 2 years already. I bought it when we went to the mall during college, and she showed me her favorite ring in there. I actually just paid the credit card last month. Do I think she's actually going to leave on January 1st? No, I don't think she would actually leave knowing her. She might leave for the day, but she'll be right back home before it gets dark. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't know if I really want to help you. I don't like her. I'll just say that straight up. 3 years without a ring. I mean, that's on par and totally fine timeline. Hell, I didn't propose to my wife until 4.5 years. Why? because we had other things going on that we wanted to get out of the way first. No ring after 3 years sounds completely acceptable. You just spent 4 years busting your tail starting a business. It's finally paying off. Meanwhile, she doesn't work, shopping around for houses on your dime. You're supporting the both of you, having the nerve to give you an ultimatum like you don't love her because you haven't proposed yet. What is she bringing to the table in terms of value? Sounds like you're setting yourself up for an expense instead of a wife. I would rather marry a person who brings the same thing to the table. You've got a business. Great, you've got a career. We both mutually benefit and can buy a nicer home and enjoy the finer things in life better. I would be rethinking who I am marrying, to be honest. If she is in between real career jobs, sure, I could let it slide. But if she's got nothing going on in her life and just feeding off all your work, having the nerve to give you an ultimatum like that, hell no. I would save my value for someone who gives me a return. Comment 2. That's a bit complicated. Because on one hand, I can understand how you'd want to put things on pause until you can sit down and have a talk about both of your feelings about marriage and engagement timelines. Ideally, it would have been better to do this before she broke down on you, but the second best time is now. On the other hand, there isn't necessarily anything about this sudden ultimatum that changes your plans. You were planning on proposing to her anyway, well within her timeline expectations, and you could always talk to her later about how you had this proposal planned well before she gave you this ultimatum. In my opinion, have a talk with her as soon as possible about each of your feelings on marriage and wedding timelines and confirm with her that you're on the same page. Then carry on with the Sunday proposal. Oh, and let us know how it goes. Now, for the update. 3 days after my girlfriend's ultimatum, I still went on with my proposal plans. I felt so dumb for feeling pressured to propose. I shouldn't be if we are in the right place in our lives. I was just trying to make sure everything was fine for the surprise proposal at the aquarium. I got to the aquarium early to check on the setup, and the staff confirmed everything was in place for the proposal at the penguin exhibit. I felt a little better after hearing that. I just wanted to do something special for her. Then I got a text from my girlfriend asking about our dinner plans for her birthday. I was like, chill, babe. I assured her that everything was fine and not to worry about dinner. I then checked in with her best friend to confirm we were still on for the birthday surprise. She mentioned that my girlfriend had been acting strange and even more distant since the dinner. I felt that. I decided to pick up a cake from a bakery that I knew she loved. I thought it would be a nice little touch, and I knew it would make her happy. While waiting for the cake, I overheard a conversation between two women discussing a recent engagement. One of the women mentioned how happy she was that her friend got a ring after pressuring her boyfriend. I felt uneasy, but I brushed it off as just gossip. It was probably related to some other couple. The day of her birthday arrived, and I felt this mix of excitement and unease. I picked up the cake and headed to the aquarium with the ring hidden in my pocket. I couldn't believe I was still going through with this. Her sister and best friend arrived at the aquarium, ready to help with the surprise. They were so excited, and I felt a little better seeing how happy they were. When my girlfriend arrived, she was excited and oblivious to the setup. We started our tour at the aquarium, and the mood seemed light at first. She was so happy to be there, and I felt a little of that pressure lift off my shoulders. I led her to the penguin exhibit for the proposal. Just as I was about to propose, her phone buzzed with a text. She checked her phone, and her expression changed to concern. I paused, sensing something was off, but I continued with the proposal. I got down on one knee, ring in hand, and she just stood there frozen. She finally reacted, but she looked conflicted, mentioning she needed to take a call. The best friend and sister exchanged worried glances as she stepped away. After a few minutes, she came back, visibly shaken. She whispered to me that her mom just texted her about some family drama. I had a feeling I knew what that was about. We headed to a private area at the aquarium to cut the cake. After the cake, she finally opened up about the family situation. She explained that her parents were fighting over money issues, and her mom was stressed. At that moment, I decided to take control of the situation. I reminded her that we were a team and that we should support each other. I brought out the ring again, saying we could face anything together. She looked at the ring and surprisingly smiled, realizing how important our relationship was. In a moment of clarity, she accepted the ring and said yes to the proposal. We both laughed, feeling relieved as we hugged. Her best friend and sister jumped in, celebrating the unexpected turn of events. I felt super happy as we took a photo together with the ring. Afterward, I planned a dinner with just the two of us to celebrate. As we left the aquarium, I overheard a couple arguing about their relationship issues. I smirked, realizing our situation could have been much worse. The family drama wasn't what I expected. My girlfriend's mom was upset about her dad buying a new car without telling her. It wasn't a big deal, but her dad was just trying to surprise her mom. I made it clear to my girlfriend that we would support each other through these little bumps in the road. Her mom ended up being really happy for us and even apologized for the timing of the text. We called her after the proposal to share the news. Her dad also called to congratulate us. We spent the rest of the evening celebrating with her sister and best friend. Am I the idiot for refusing to let my ex take our daughters to her family event without me? My wife of 12 years decided to divorce me earlier this year. We did marriage counseling and just about everything else you can do to save the marriage. I love my wife, but she apparently fell out of love 3 years ago, according to her. We separated in March of this year. The separation was recommended by the marriage counselor after everything else failed. It was supposed to, I guess, show us our marriage from a different angle by being separated. I ended up moving out of the house, and quite honestly, I was much happier living by myself. I told my wife that I wouldn't file for divorce, and if she wanted to go down that route, she could file. In May, she finally filed for divorce. Honestly, I completely expected it coming after the separation experiment. I was hoping for a simple divorce like we talked about before we separated. We don't have a prenuptial agreement in place, since we basically both didn't have that much when we got married. They always say it doesn't matter how much you love or have mutual respect for your spouse, because during a divorce, there are no limits. She initially wanted the house, her car, full custody of our daughters, $4,000 a month in child support, and a 6-figure alimony. My wife doesn't work since she's a full-time stay-at-home mom. I was never going to leave her without anything, but it sort of hurt me that she would try to get all those things, knowing well that I would have barely anything left afterwards. Anyway, the lawyers have been negotiating for some time, and I haven't had much contact with my wife unless it's about the girls. Last night, my wife called me asking if I would go to dinner because she wanted to talk. I accepted, and we met for dinner at a restaurant. She expressed that she wanted to give our marriage another try. Her reasoning was that she was in a dark place before, and now she understands that she was the problem. She took 100% responsibility for our problems, which is very out of character for her. Ever since I've known her, she doesn't apologize, like ever. She also said that our daughters missed us living together, which I guess is true. After dinner, she wanted to come back to my place, but I told her it wasn't a good idea. I told her that I would have to think about it. She started crying and begging me to come back. Eventually, she calmed down and we went our separate ways. A few months ago, I would have agreed to trying again without hesitation, but after the divorce process, I'm not so sure anymore. The other thing is I know she's been on dates since our separation. She told one of our mutual friends who told her husband who told me. I personally haven't dated anyone because our divorce hasn't been finalized. Also, I'm enjoying living single with just my daughters. Ideally, I would like to save this marriage for the sake of my daughters and the love for my wife. But at the same time, I don't want to try again just to waste time ending up in our current situation again. My daughters prefer staying with me over their mom. I've never said anything negative about their mom to my daughters, and I try to leave them out of it completely. If you've had any experiences in trying to make your marriage work again for round 2, was it positive or negative? Is it worth revisiting, or do I just cut my losses and move on? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Talk to your lawyer before making any decisions. What are the standards for child support and alimony in your state? Does pausing the divorce reset any clocks? Does your state have a set time that you have to be separated before you can be divorced? You've already been married for 10 years, so she's all set on Social Security. Are there any business interests she'll be entitled to if you are married longer? Any big paydays on the horizon? Can you go for 50-50 custody? Is your ex planning on getting a job? If you earn enough for $4,000 in child support and six-figure alimony, shouldn't you be talking to professionals, your lawyer, your therapist, your accountant, not Reddit? Comment 2. Honestly, I think you'd need to try a second round of counseling before you give marriage another shot. It sounds an awful lot like she wanted to be separated and still taken care of financially by you. Not only that, but she wanted full custody of the girls. She probably got a call from her lawyer telling her there was no way in hell that all that was happening. I would go back to a counselor and figure out exactly what her being the problem meant and decide if you want to risk it happening again. If you want to give it another shot, then that's up to you. But if you're happier where you're at, I wouldn't. Now for the update. About a month after that dinner, where the ex-wife was begging to get back together, I got a text from her asking to meet up again. It was a pretty standard message, just asking if we could meet the next day. So I said sure. We arranged to meet at this local diner we used to go to all the time when we were still together. It's kind of funny how a place can bring back so many memories, but not all of them are good, you know? I was just thinking about how this was the same booth we always sat in while fighting over who got the last piece of pie. Yeah, those were the days. So we sit down, and after a couple minutes of awkward silence, she brings up our daughters and how they're struggling with the separation and everything. She suggested that we should consider family therapy to help the kids adjust to everything. I mean, I guess it made sense, but at the same time, I was a little skeptical about the whole thing. Like, is this just another tactic to try and get what she wants? I agreed to think about it, though, just to keep the peace for now. Later that week, I got a call from my daughter's school asking to discuss her behavior. That was a red flag instantly. So I went in for a parent-teacher meeting to get the 411. I sat across from her teacher, who looked like she hadn't slept in days, and she expressed her concern about my daughter's emotional state. Apparently, my daughter had been acting out in class, disrupting lessons, and not even completing her assignments. The teacher also mentioned that my daughter often referenced her parents' divorce during class discussions. Yeah, clearly she's not handling it well. That weekend, we decided to have a family dinner at this Italian restaurant we used to go to. The girls were excited, and honestly, I was too. I really wanted to make sure they felt some sense of normalcy in all of this. So, during dinner, the ex-wife brought up the idea of shared custody again, claiming it would benefit the girls. I pointed out that the girls had been spending most nights with me anyway, and they seemed fine with it. She insisted it wasn't fair for them to be away from their mother, though. At this point, I was just like, come on. The conversation escalated from there, and we ended up arguing about our parenting styles. The girls were sitting right there, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. I could see the older one rolling her eyes and the younger one fidgeting with her spaghetti. After dinner, the ex-wife stayed behind to talk to another couple at the restaurant about personal matters. I overheard her mentioning wanting to take the girls to a family event for her side of the family. I didn't think much of it at the time. The following week, I got a text from her saying the girls were excited about the event, and they were looking forward to seeing their cousins. I replied, mentioning that I wasn't comfortable with them attending without me. I mean, this was a new thing, and I didn't know what was going on. She dismissed my concerns, insisting it was important for family bonding. I was all for family bonding, but I wanted to be there too. We eventually agreed to it, but she later canceled, saying she had made other plans for the weekend. I found out from the girls that they had still gone to the event with their mother. That really ticked me off. I decided I had to confront her about the change in plans. We met at the diner again, where I expressed my frustration about being left out. She got all defensive and accused me of trying to control her. I pointed out that communication was lacking, which led to all these misunderstandings. She went on to claim I was being unreasonable about her wanting to maintain ties with her family. I mean, I wasn't trying to be unreasonable, but I felt like I was being pushed aside. A few days after that, I got a call from her asking to discuss our finances. She expressed concerns about child support and how it would affect her living situation. I reminded her that we had already agreed on a financial plan during our divorce discussions. She said she was just worried about how it would affect her ability to make ends meet. I told her I'd help her look for a job once this whole divorce was finalized. Yeah, I know I'm a sucker for saying that. A few weeks later, I attended a school event for the girls, where I saw her. We exchanged some brief pleasantries, but the tension from previous conversations was still there, hanging in the air like a bad smell. The girls were super excited to show both of us their artwork from class, and that was one of the few moments where I felt like we were a family again, even if it was just for a few seconds. Edit, it has been a few months since that dinner. My daughters are in therapy. I feel they are doing better since they have a safe space to talk about what is bothering them. My ex-wife and I are doing joint custody. The girls spend 4 nights with me and 3 nights with her. I am still a sucker because I help her out with money. She started a job, but she does not make a lot. We keep communication open for the kids. Am I the idiot for refusing to cook for my family after they mocked my meals and preferred frozen nuggets? My wife has, throughout our entire marriage, had a terrible habit of butting in, micromanaging, criticizing, and offering unsolicited feedback. I like to cook from scratch, whereas she prefers to buy prepackaged food at the store and heat it up. I will cut up chicken breasts, bread the strips, bake them, and serve them to our daughter. She will buy frozen chicken nuggets. I love cooking. It's very relaxing and centering for me. My wife sees it as a chore. I never insult anything my wife puts on the table and always thank her for putting dinner together. Conversely, I can count on one hand the number of compliments I've received on dinners that I spend hours preparing in 10 years of marriage. If I make something she doesn't like, she'll make exaggerated gagging noises. When she sees the look on my face, annoyed, hurt, or a combination of both, she'll tell me that she's joking and not to get upset. I have warned her that if our daughter picks up on this habit, it will be her responsibility to correct it. This gagging can occur if I use full-fat milk in something, butter on garlic bread, or anything she deems to be too high in calories. She will buy salt-free and low-fat ingredients at the store instead of what I ask her to get, which creates tasteless meals. So I usually do the shopping myself. Nobody is overweight and nobody has a medical condition. She buys it just because it's healthier. The other night I made chicken Alfredo. I make it with heavy cream alongside sautéed broccoli and homemade garlic bread. As we sat down to eat, my wife made one of her gagging movements and said, "Ugh, cream, bread, and pasta, so heavy, so fatty, this is death." My daughter gagged as well, said, "Yucky," and pushed her plate away. I stared daggers at my wife and told her, "Great, now tell her you were joking." She shook her head, saying, "She doesn't like it. She knows that it's terrible for her. Maybe this is the sign we need to start cooking healthier." My wife made her chicken nuggets, which our daughter ate happily. I pointed out that these are not healthy. My wife said that she likes what she likes. Now, every time I make something, my daughter gags and pushes it away. It doesn't matter if it's a hot dog or a bowl of cereal. If I put it together, she gags, starts laughing, and refuses to eat until Mom makes her something else. I tried talking to her, explaining that it's not nice to not even try the food, and it's very mean to the person making the food. She keeps saying, "Okay," and then does the same thing the next time I prepare her food. This morning, I made egg sandwiches for everyone, one of my daughter's favorites. She gagged, pushed it away, and refused to eat it. I snapped and sent her to her room without breakfast. She started crying. My wife told me that I wasn't being fair. I told my wife that this behavior is not acceptable, and if she's not going to address it, I will be punishing our daughter every time she does it. She told me that's not fair because she shouldn't be forced to eat what she doesn't like. I told my wife that since she created this behavior, moving forward she will be in charge of cooking all meals because I am done being disrespected by her, and I am not going to tolerate it from our daughter. My wife says that I'm overreacting and that I need to stop putting so much emphasis on how a child likes my cooking. The thing is, our daughter loved my cooking until she thought it would be funny to start imitating my wife and get something else. I want the behavior to stop, but I don't have it in me not to lose my cool over the situation. My wife is refusing to correct the behavior she created, and as much as I hate it, I know it's wrong to punish my daughter when she's just doing what a poor role model taught her to do. How do I address this in an appropriate way? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Oh my goodness, I would be devastated if anyone reacted to my cooking so meanly and immaturely, let alone teaching your child that this is okay. Your wife is pushing your daughter toward an eating disorder, and she is also being needlessly cruel to you. You need to stop including your wife in meals, period. She has made her choice when it comes to your efforts. You need to explain, in age-appropriate terms, not just the importance of politeness to your child, but also how all foods are good. Comment 2. I think you need to be less concerned with the fact that your daughter's reaction to your food is hurtful to you, and much more concerned with the fact that your wife very clearly has an unhealthy relationship with food and is teaching your daughter that same way of thinking. If you do not get therapy involved, your daughter is going to be counting calories and restricting herself to a dangerously low daily total by the time she is a teenager. Now for the update. I wanted to show them I could make a great dinner, so I decided to make my special lasagna. My wife came home late saying she had to run errands. I was a little annoyed since I was counting on her help. My daughter came home and made a face at the smell of the lasagna, just like her mom used to. I tried to joke about it, saying even the smell was better than chicken nuggets, but she just rolled her eyes. My wife finally arrived, took one look at the dinner, and said it looked too heavy and wasn't her style. As we sat down, my daughter pushed her plate away, saying she wanted chicken nuggets instead. My wife laughed and agreed, suggesting we order takeout instead of eating the lasagna. She scoffed at me, asking why I was making such a big deal out of it. My daughter started to whine, and I felt my usual frustration building up. I told my wife that her attitude was affecting our daughter, which led to silence. She snapped back, accusing me of being immature for not letting our daughter choose her food. The argument got louder, and my daughter started to cry, saying she hated dinner. Both my wife and daughter left the table, leaving me alone with my lasagna. The next day I saw a flyer about a cooking competition at a local community center. I decided to enter, seeing it as a chance to show off my cooking skills and get some validation. My wife was dismissive when I shared my plans, saying it was a waste of time. But I felt determined. My daughter overheard the conversation and surprised us by asking if she could come along to cheer me on. I practiced for the competition, putting extra effort into my recipes. The day of the competition arrived, and I was nervous but excited. I met other participants, sharing tips and ideas, which boosted my confidence. The competition started with various rounds, and I impressed the judges with my signature lasagna. My wife and daughter arrived halfway through, and my wife looked shocked at the crowd. The judges announced the winners, and I took first place, much to my surprise. After the competition, my daughter ran up to me, excitedly asking if we could have a cooking night together. My wife tried to downplay the win, saying it was just a small event, but my daughter insisted we celebrate. The next day, I shared the news of my win on social media, getting positive responses from friends and family. My wife got annoyed by the attention I was getting, claiming I was making a big deal out of nothing. I sensed a shift in our household dynamics, with my daughter starting to ask me for cooking tips. One evening, my wife suggested we have a family meeting, which made me uneasy. My daughter chimed in, saying she wanted to cook with me more often, causing tension to rise. I was planning another cooking event at home, determined to keep the momentum going. I just really hope this is a positive change for our family. I know things have been rocky, but my daughter seems to be genuinely interested in cooking with me, and it's giving us some good bonding time. I just really want my wife to be supportive of this, but I'm feeling like she's not on board. It's going to be tough if she's always making me feel like I'm overreacting or being immature for wanting to cook together. Fingers crossed this goes smoothly and we all start enjoying time together in the kitchen. Also, I read every comment, so please comment. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.